She thought he was just another stranger on the highway, a man with nothing asking for nothing but a sandwich. But when Laura Bennett traced that license plate and discovered who Daniel Walker really was, what he'd sacrificed, what he'd lost, she knew she'd stumbled onto something bigger than a broken-down car. This is the story of how one corporate executive's curiosity turned a roadside repair into a second chance neither of them saw coming. A story that proves sometimes the people we overlook are the ones who change everything. Now, before we dive in, if you love stories about real people, second chances, and the kind of kindness that changes lives, hit that subscribe button. And drop a comment telling me what city you're watching from, because I want to see just how far this story travels. Trust me, you're going to want to stick around until the very end of this one. Here's what nobody tells you about rock bottom. Sometimes you don't even realize you've hit it until someone stops to pull you back up. 47 minutes. Laura Bennett stared at her dashboard clock like she could will time to stop. 47 minutes before the presentation that would either make her career or bury it. 6 years of 80-hour weeks, missed birthdays, canceled vacations, all leading to this single morning. And her BMW was dead on I-90, steam pouring from under the hood, like her life was literally evaporating. Start. Please start. She twisted the key. Nothing but grinding metal. Her hands shook. No, no, no. She grabbed her phone. Black screen. Dead battery. Because of course it was. February wind cut through the cracked window sharp enough to make her eyes water. Or maybe that was panic. The Chicago skyline sat there in the distance mocking her. So close. Might as well be on Mars. 45 minutes now. A horn blared as a semi roared past close enough to shake her car. Laura pressed her palms against her eyes. This couldn't be happening. Not today. Not after everything. Then she heard it. An engine rough and loud pulling up behind her. She checked the mirror. A pickup truck that looked like it survived on duct tape and hope. Rusted. Battered. The kind of vehicle that made her German-engineered luxury sedan look obscene. Great. Some guy looking to overcharge her for a tow. But the man who stepped out didn't move like a con artist. He moved slowly, carefully, like someone rationing energy. 40 maybe. Flannel jacket with frayed cuffs. Jeans stained dark with oil. His face carried the kind of tired that sleep can't fix. Laura cracked her window halfway. You okay? His voice was quiet, gentle even. Car died. I don't know what happened. He walked closer, looking at the steam. Mind if I check? Every instinct screamed, don't trust strangers. But what choice did she have? Call a tow with a dead phone. Walk to downtown in heels. I can't pay much right now. My wallet's at home and my phone's dead and I have to be downtown in 40 minutes. Pop the hood, just like that. No negotiation, no price quote. Laura pulled the lever and watched him disappear behind the raised hood. All she could see was steam and his hands moving with unexpected precision. 43 minutes. What's your name? His voice came from somewhere in her engine. Laura Bennett. Daniel Walker. Can you fix it? Maybe. Radiator hose came loose. Not the worst thing. Not the worst thing. Easy for him to say. Laura couldn't just sit there while her life imploded. She got out, and the cold hit like a slap. She wrapped her coat tighter and walked to the front of the car. Daniel was bent over the engine hands, moving with confidence that seemed wrong for someone driving a truck held together with prayers. You do this for a living. Used to do something like it. His fingers tested a connection. Adjusted. Tested again. Used to. Pause. Longer than necessary. I work at a garage now. Small place. Something in his voice didn't match his words. Like he was reading lines from someone else's script. You're really good at this. She meant it. The way he moved, the speed of his diagnosis, this wasn't some random mechanic. Thanks. He glanced up and their eyes met for half a second. Long enough for Laura to see something broken living behind his face. Then he looked away. A car screamed past close enough that the wind nearly knocked her over. Daniel didn't flinch, just kept working like traffic wasn't rushing by 6 feet away at 70 miles an hour. 38 minutes. "You seem stressed." He said it so calmly it was almost funny. "I have a presentation, the most important one of my life, and I'm about to miss it because my car decided today was a good day to die." "Your car didn't decide anything. It's just a machine. Machines break." "Well, this one picked terrible timing." "Machines don't pick timing." Laura wanted to argue but couldn't. He was right, didn't make it less devastating. "What's the presentation about?" "Electric cars. My company's trying to break into EVs, but we can't solve our efficiency problems. I've been working on a partnership strategy that might actually save us." Daniel's hand stopped moving, just for a second. "Electric cars." He said it quietly, like testing the weight of old words. "That's important work. You interested in them?" His hands started moving again, faster now. "Used to be, very interested." Before Laura could ask what that meant, Daniel straightened up and wiped his hands on a rag from his pocket. "Try it now." She slid into the driver's seat, held her breath, turned the key. The engine coughed once, twice, then roared to life. Strong. Clean. Perfect. Laura stared at the dashboard like it had just performed a miracle. Daniel closed the hood and appeared at her window. "You're good." "How much do I owe you?" "Nothing." "I can't pay you nothing. You just saved my entire career." He smiled, small, sad. "I didn't save your career. You did the work. Your car just needed to cooperate." "Please, let me give you something." Daniel looked down at his grease-stained hands. When he looked back up, something in his expression had softened. "You got a sandwich." Laura blinked. "A sandwich?" "Yeah, didn't eat breakfast. If you've got one, that'd be great." She reached for her lunch bag on the passenger seat, pulled out the turkey and avocado sandwich she'd made at 5 that morning. She'd been planning to eat it between meetings. Now that seemed absurdly trivial. "Here, turkey and avocado. Is that okay?" "Perfect." He took it like she was handing him gold. "Thank you, Laura." "Thank you. Seriously. You have no idea what you just did." "Good luck with your presentation." He stepped back. "I hope you change the world." 28 minutes left. Laura pulled back onto the highway. In her rearview mirror, Daniel walked back to his pickup truck, sandwich in hand, getting smaller until traffic swallowed him completely. Gone. The presentation was flawless. Every slide landed. Every answer hit. When Laura finished, the board stood and applauded. Her boss, Marcus, pulled her aside, grinning. "Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. The promotion's yours." Laura smiled, said thank you, shook hands, accepted congratulations. But all she could think about was tired eyes and grease-stained hands and someone who fixed her car for a sandwich. That night, she stood in her apartment, 23rd floor, floor-to-ceiling windows, showing Chicago lit up like a circuit board. She'd worked 6 years for this view, this furniture, this life. She poured expensive wine she couldn't taste. Her phone buzzed with congratulation texts. She read them without feeling anything. Something was wrong. She'd won. She'd gotten everything she wanted. So why did her chest feel hollow? Laura walked to the window and pressed her forehead against the cold glass. Daniel Walker. That's what was wrong. Or right. Or something she couldn't name. The way he'd looked when she mentioned electric cars. Used to be very interested. Past tense. Someone that skilled, that knowledgeable, working at a small garage, fixing cars on highways for sandwiches. It didn't add up. At midnight, Laura opened her laptop. Told herself she was just curious. Just wanted to know if he was okay. Just being thorough. At 1 a.m., she was still searching. At 2 a.m., she made a phone call to Rachel Kim, an old college friend who worked at the DMV, and owed her a favor from that messy divorce last year. "Laura, it's 2 in the morning. I know, I'm sorry." But I need a license plate traced. Just the name and address. That's all. Rachel sighed. This better be important. It is, I think. 20 minutes later, Laura had a name and an address in Evanston. Then she found the news articles. And everything changed. Summit Technologies. Lead engineer. Daniel Walker. Breakthrough battery designs. Rising star. Genius-level innovations. Then 3 years ago, everything stopped. Elena Walker. Stage 4 cancer. 6 months of treatment. Medical bills that bankrupted them. And Daniel walked away from everything. His career, his research, his entire future. To take care of his daughter. Laura read article after article, piecing together a story written in gaps and absences. Summit Technologies declined to comment. Former colleagues said Daniel just disappeared. Patents left unfinished. Projects abandoned mid-development. One quote from a former co-worker stuck with her. Daniel was brilliant, could have changed the entire industry. Then he just vanished. We all thought he'd come back eventually. He never did. Laura closed her laptop at 3:30 in the morning. She should sleep, should be celebrating, should be planning her first week as senior VP. Instead, she stared at the address in Evanston and knew she was about to do something completely insane. Morning came too fast. Laura sat in her car outside a modest apartment complex, second-guessing everything. This was crazy. Showing up at a stranger's home, someone she'd met for 20 minutes on a highway. But she couldn't shake the feeling that yesterday wasn't random, that the universe or fate or simple dumb luck had put Daniel Walker in her path for a reason. She thought about his hands, the confidence in them, the knowledge. She thought about her company's failing EV division, the efficiency problems nobody could solve. She thought about second chances and what it means to waste brilliance. Laura got out of the car before she could change her mind. Apartment 3B. She knocked before her courage failed. The door opened slowly. Daniel stood there in a faded t-shirt and jeans, shock written across his face. Laura. Hi. I know this is insane, showing up like this. But I need to talk to you. He looked past her, checking the hallway like he expected cameras. How did you find me? I have a friend at the DMV. She traced your license plate. I know that sounds stalkerish. It is stalkerish. But after yesterday, I couldn't stop thinking about something you said. What did I say? That you used to be very interested in electric cars. His entire body language changed. Shoulders back, arms crossed, wall up. That was a long time ago. 3 years. You worked at Summit Technologies. You were their lead engineer. You had breakthrough patents, published research. You were brilliant. Daniel's expression went cold. You had no right to look into me. I know, you're right. But I had to understand why someone with your talent is fixing cars on the side of the highway. You know why? Your wife. I'm so sorry for what you went through. I can't imagine. If you came here for sympathy, I don't need it. His voice had an edge now. Protective, angry even. And I definitely don't need some stranger showing up at my door digging into my past. I'm not here for sympathy. Laura held her ground. I'm here to offer you a job. Daniel stared at her. What? Harborline Motors. My company. Our EV division is dying because we can't solve efficiency problems that someone with your background could probably fix in a week. We need you. Someone who actually understands the technology at a fundamental level. I don't do that anymore. Why not? Because I have a daughter who needs me here, needs stability, needs a father who doesn't disappear into work 18 hours a day and forget she exists. What if you didn't have to choose? That's not how it works. I know. I lived it. Before Laura could respond, a small voice came from inside the apartment. Daddy, who is it? A girl appeared beside Daniel. 8 years old, dark curly hair, her father's eyes. star-covered pajamas, and a stuffed rabbit that looked older than she was. "This is Laura, sweetheart. Just someone I helped yesterday." The girl looked up at Laura with open curiosity. "Did you fix her car, Daddy?" "I did." "My dad can fix anything." Pure pride. Absolute certainty. Even hearts, I think. Laura felt something crack inside her chest. Not break. Crack open. Daniel's hand rested on his daughter's shoulder. "Go finish your breakfast, Sophie. I'll be right there." "Okay." Sophie disappeared back inside. Daniel stepped into the hallway and pulled the door almost closed behind him. "I appreciate the offer." His voice was quiet now, tired. "But I'm not that person anymore. I can't be. Because of Sophie. Because I already lost Elena. I won't lose her too." Something fierce entered his voice. "I won't let work steal what time I have with my daughter. Not again. Never again." There it was. The guilt. Laura saw it clearly now. Not just grief, but crushing guilt for time-lost moments, missed a wife who died while he was too busy chasing innovation to notice she was slipping away. "Daniel, what if? You don't understand." He cut her off. "When I worked at Summit, I was consumed. Elena was too. We both were. Chasing breakthroughs, racing deadlines, pushing for more and better and faster. We told ourselves we were building a future, but we were losing the present, losing each other. By the time we realized it, by the time we slowed down enough to see what we'd done," his voice caught. "The cancer had already taken root. The doctors said if we'd caught it earlier, if we'd been paying attention instead of working 90-hour weeks, if we'd noticed she was tired all the time, losing weight, looking pale." He looked at the door behind him where his daughter was eating breakfast. "I won't do that to Sophie. I won't make her grow up wondering why I chose work over her. Why I missed her childhood because I was too busy being brilliant. My daughter deserves better than the father I was. She deserves the father I'm trying to be now." Laura waited. Let the silence hold space for everything he'd just said. Then, quietly, "What if you could be both?" You can't be both. That's the lie they sell you. Work-life balance, having it all. It's not real. What if I told you our company has mandatory parental leave, flexible schedules, work-from-home options? What if I told you we're not asking you to sacrifice Sophie? We're asking you to show her that it's okay to start again. That losing someone doesn't mean losing yourself too. Daniel shook his head, looked at his hands. Those capable hands that had once designed revolutionary battery systems and now fixed radiator hoses for sandwiches. "I left that world, all of it. The pressure, the politics, the constant pushing. It nearly destroyed my family. It did destroy my marriage. I can't go back." "I'm not asking you to go back. I'm asking you to move forward." "It's the same thing." "Is it?" Laura stepped closer, not crowding him, but present. Real. "You're using your brain right now at maybe 10% capacity, fixing cars that any decent mechanic could handle. You're hiding. And maybe you needed to hide for a while. Maybe you needed to grieve and heal and be present for Sophie. But Daniel, it's been 3 years. At some point, hiding becomes wasting, and I don't think you want to waste what Elena saw in you." He flinched like she'd hit him. "Don't bring her into this." "She's already in this. She's in every choice you make. Every time you tell yourself you're not good enough or smart enough or worthy enough to try again, that's grief talking, not love." "You don't know anything about my wife." "You're right, I don't." Laura met his eyes. "But I know what it's like to wake up and realize you're living someone else's life because you're too afraid to try for what you actually want." Daniel studied her face. Really looked at her. "Is that what you are afraid?" Terrified. Laura surprised herself with the honesty. "I just got promoted. Everything I've worked for. And last night I stood in my expensive apartment drinking expensive wine, feeling absolutely nothing. Because it turns out success is pretty hollow when you have nobody to share it with. When you've spent 6 years sacrificing everything that makes you human just to climb a ladder, you're not even sure you want to be on. So why are you here trying to recruit me? Because yesterday for 20 minutes on the side of a highway I met someone real. Someone who asked for a sandwich when he could have asked for anything. Someone who still has light in his eyes even though life tried to extinguish it. And I thought maybe if I can help him, maybe if I can do one thing that actually matters, instead of just making corporations richer, maybe I won't feel so hollow. Silence stretched between them. Behind the door, Sophie hummed a tuneless song. Daniel's jaw worked like he was chewing on words too big to swallow. I don't know, he said finally. That's not a no. It's not a yes either. Laura pulled a business card from her jacket. One interview. That's all I'm asking. Come meet the team. See what we're working on. If it's wrong, you walk away. No pressure. No obligation. But if it's right, if this is the second chance you didn't know you were looking for, she held out the card. Daniel looked at it like it might explode. Then slowly he took it. I'll think about it. That's all I can ask. Laura turned to leave, then stopped. Daniel, your daughter said you can fix anything, even hearts. I think she's right. She walked away before he could respond. Behind her, she heard the apartment door open and close. Heard the soft murmur of father and daughter talking. Heard Sophie ask something, and Daniel's low reply that she couldn't make out. Laura sat in her car and realized her hands were shaking. She'd just stalked a stranger, showed up at his home, and tried to recruit him based on nothing but intuition and 20 minutes of conversation. This was either genius or insanity. Maybe both. Her phone buzzed. Marcus wanting to know when she could start in her new role. Laura stared at the message, then back at the apartment building. Something was happening here. Something that felt like fate, or purpose, or the universe course correcting. She didn't know what. Didn't know if Daniel would call. Didn't know if she'd just made the best decision of her life, or completely sabotaged it. But for the first time in 6 years, sitting in her car outside a modest apartment building in Evanston, Laura Bennett felt something other than hollow. She felt alive. Inside apartment 3B, Daniel stood at the kitchen table holding Laura's business card while Sophie ate cereal. Who was that lady, Daddy? Daniel looked at his daughter. At her bright eyes and easy smile and the way she swung her feet because they didn't quite reach the floor yet. At everything he'd fought to protect. Someone offering me a job. A good job. Maybe. I don't know yet. Sophie tilted her head, studying him the way only children can, seeing straight through to truth. You should go talk to them. You're really smart, Daddy. You should show people. I show you. That's enough. Mommy would want you to show other people too. Daniel's breath caught. Sophie almost never mentioned her mother. The grief counselor said that was normal. That kids process loss differently. That one day she'd talk about Elena more freely. How do you know what Mommy would want? Because she was smart too. And she always said, hiding your light doesn't make the darkness any smaller. It just makes everything darker. Daniel stared at his 8-year-old daughter, wondering when she'd become so wise. He looked down at the business card. Laura Bennett, Senior Vice President of Strategic Development, Harborline Motors. Cell phone number written on the back in neat handwriting. Outside through the window he could see her car still parked on the street. She hadn't left yet. Was she waiting? Hoping second, guessing her own insane gesture. Sophie slid off her chair and walked over, wrapping her small arms around his waist. You fixed that lady's car, Daddy. You can fix other things too. You can fix anything. Even hearts, Daniel thought. Even broken ones that don't know how to start again. He looked at the card, at the phone number, at the possibility written in ink and offered by a stranger who had no reason to believe in him except that she did. Maybe Sophie was right. Maybe Elena would want him to try. Maybe hiding wasn't the same as protecting. Maybe it was just another way of being afraid. Daniel folded the business card and slipped it into his pocket. Come on, sweetheart. Let's get you ready for school. Are you going to call that lady? Maybe. I think you should. Why? Sophie looked up at him with those eyes that saw everything that carried her mother's wisdom and something all her own. Because she looked at you the way Mommy used to look at you, like you were magic. And with that, Sophie skipped off to her room to get dressed, leaving Daniel standing in the kitchen with a business card burning a hole in his pocket, and his daughter's words echoing in the space his wife used to fill. Like you were magic. Daniel pulled out the card one more time, ran his thumb over the embossed letters. Through the window, Laura's car pulled away from the curb and disappeared into morning traffic. But her card stayed in his hand, and for the first time in 3 years, Daniel Walker let himself imagine something other than survival. He let himself imagine possibility. 3 days passed before Daniel called. Laura was in a budget meeting when her phone buzzed. She glanced down, saw the unfamiliar number, almost ignored it. Something made her answer. Hello. Laura, it's Daniel. Daniel Walker. Her heart jumped. She stood up from the conference table, ignoring Marcus's questioning look. Excuse me, I need to take this. She walked into the hallway, closed the door. Daniel, hi. Is the offer still open? Yes, absolutely yes. Silence on the other end. She could hear him breathing, gathering courage. I can come in Thursday, if that works. Sophie has early dismissal that day, so I'd need to be done by 2. Thursday's perfect. 2 o'clock's perfect. Whatever you need. I'm not making any promises. This is just an interview. I understand. And if I don't like what I see, I walk. No hard feelings. No hard feelings. Laura pressed her back against the wall, trying to keep her voice steady. Daniel, thank you for calling. Don't thank me yet. I might waste your time. You won't. After he hung up, Laura stood in the empty hallway, holding her phone, grinning like an idiot. Marcus opened the conference room door. Everything okay? Everything's better than okay. I think I just found the person who's going to save our company. Marcus raised an eyebrow. The mechanic from the highway. The engineer from Summit Technologies. Laura, we've been trying to recruit top talent for months. What makes you think some guy who's been out of the field for 3 years is going to solve problems our entire team can't crack? Because he's brilliant, and he's hungry, and he's got nothing to lose. Or everything to lose. People don't walk away from careers like that for no reason. His wife died. He's been taking care of his daughter. Marcus's expression softened slightly. That's rough, but it doesn't mean he's still got the skills. 3 years is a long time in this field. Trust me. I do trust you. That's why I'm letting you set up this interview. But Laura, don't get your hopes up too high. We need someone who can deliver results, not someone we feel sorry for. Laura met his eyes. I'm not asking you to feel sorry for him. I'm asking you to give him a chance to show you what he can do. Thursday morning arrived wrapped in rain and doubt. Laura got to the office early, prepared the conference room, made sure the coffee was fresh. At 9:45, she checked her phone for the 10th time. No messages, no cancellations. At 9:58, reception called. Laura, there's a Daniel Walker here to see you, and he has a child with him. Laura's heart sank. He brought Sophie. That meant he didn't have childcare. That meant he was already struggling with logistics. That meant this might not work. She pushed the thoughts away. Send them up. When the elevator doors opened, Daniel stepped out, looking uncomfortable in khakis and a button-down shirt that was slightly too big. Sophie held his hand wearing a school uniform and that same stuffed rabbit. I'm sorry, Daniel said immediately. Half day got canceled. Teacher's conference or something. My neighbor who usually watches her got sick. I can reschedule if... It's fine. Laura knelt down to Sophie's level. Hi, Sophie. Remember me? Sophie nodded, shy now in this unfamiliar place. We have a really nice break room with books and games. Would it be okay if you hung out there while your dad and I talk? Sophie looked up at Daniel. He squeezed her hand. I'll be right down the hall, sweetheart. 30 minutes, maybe an hour tops. Okay, Daddy. Laura led them to the break room, got Sophie set up with coloring books and juice. The little girl settled in quickly, already absorbed in choosing the perfect crayon color. Daniel watched his daughter like he was memorizing her. She'll be fine, Laura said softly. I promise. I know. It's just, I don't leave her much, except for school. How often do you get out for yourself? Not often. He tore his eyes away from Sophie. Should we do this? The conference room held 5 people. Marcus, 2 engineers from the EV division, the VP of operations, and Laura. They stood when Daniel entered, shook his hand, made polite small talk. Laura watched their faces. Skeptical, polite, already dismissive. Marcus started. Mr. Walker, thanks for coming in. Laura speaks very highly of you. I appreciate the opportunity. I have to be honest, when she told me about your background, I was impressed. Summit Technologies does incredible work. But I'm curious why you left, and why you've been out of the field for 3 years. Daniel's jaw tightened, but his voice stayed steady. My wife was diagnosed with stage 4 cancer. Treatment was aggressive, time-consuming, expensive. I left to take care of her and our daughter. I'm sorry for your loss. Marcus meant it. But that's a significant gap. Technology moves fast. What makes you think you can just step back in? I don't think I can just step back in. I know it'll be a learning curve, but the fundamentals don't change. Battery chemistry, energy density, thermal management. Those principles are constant. Tom Chen, the lead engineer, leaned forward. We've been wrestling with efficiency loss in our battery cells. Heat dissipation during rapid charging causes degradation. We've tried everything. New cooling systems, different cell configurations, alternative cathode materials. Nothing's working. Have you looked at the separator membrane? Tom blinked. The separator? That's not where the heat issue is. Maybe not directly, but if your separator's thermal conductivity is too high, you're transferring heat between cells faster than your cooling system can compensate. Creates hotspots. Accelerates degradation. Silence around the table. Tom exchanged glances with his colleague. We hadn't considered that. It's easy to miss. Everyone focuses on active cooling when sometimes the answer is better passive thermal management at the cellular level. Marcus leaned back in his chair. What would you do differently? Depends on your current setup. But generally, I'd look at ceramic-coated separators. Better thermal stability, lower conductivity between cells. Might cost more up front, but you'd see significantly better longevity and performance. We tried ceramic separators 2 years ago. They were too brittle, cracked during assembly. What supplier did you use? Tom named a company. Daniel nodded. They had manufacturing defects in their 2023 production run, class action lawsuit. But there are 3 other suppliers doing ceramic coating now with better quality control. Did you test those? Tom looked uncomfortable. No. After the first attempt failed, we moved on to other solutions. Daniel didn't gloat, didn't push, just stated facts. Marcus studied him carefully. You seem very current for someone who's been out of the field. I read. A lot. Patent filings, research papers, industry news. Just because I wasn't working doesn't mean I stopped learning. Why? That was Janet Park, VP of Operations. If you'd left that world behind, why keep up with it? Daniel was quiet for a moment. When he spoke, his voice carried something raw. Because it's who I am. I can walk away from the job, but I can't walk away from the way my brain works. Elena used to joke that I read battery chemistry papers the way other people read novels. For fun, for the puzzle of it. That didn't stop when she died. If anything, it got worse. Late nights when I couldn't sleep when the house was too quiet, I'd read. Research. Follow developments. It was the only thing that made sense when nothing else did. The room shifted. Something in his honesty cracked through their skepticism. Marcus glanced at Laura. She kept her face neutral, But inside she was screaming, "Yes, see, I told you." "Okay," Marcus said. "Let's say we're interested. What would you need from us? What would make this work?" "Flexible hours. I need to drop Sophie at school and pick her up. I need to be present. Really present. Not just physically there, but mentally there. If she has a school play, I go. If she's sick, I stay home. If you can't give me that, this doesn't work. I don't care how good the opportunity is." "That's fair. We have flexible scheduling, work from home options. And I need to ease in, not jump straight into full-time. Maybe start part-time, build up as Sophie adjusts. She's been through a lot. Lost her mother, had me home constantly for 3 years. Big changes scare her." Janet nodded. "We can accommodate that." Daniel looked around the table, at these people who held his future in their hands. "I need you to understand something. I was good at what I did, really good. But I'm not that person anymore. I'm slower now, more careful. I second-guess myself more because I know what it costs to get things wrong. I won't work 80-hour weeks, won't sacrifice my daughter for innovation. If that's what you need, I'm not your guy." "What we need," Marcus said carefully, "is someone who can think differently, who can see problems our team keeps missing. From what Laura tells me, and from what I'm seeing here, you might be that person." Tom Chen spoke up. "Would you be willing to look at our current battery design? Give us your assessment. We could do it as a consulting project, pay you for your time, see if there's a fit before we commit to anything permanent." Daniel considered. "How long would that take?" "A week maybe, to review everything and give us feedback. And I could do it mostly from home." "Absolutely." Daniel pulled out his phone, checked the time. "I need to get Sophie. She gets anxious in new places." "Of course." Laura stood. "Let's go get her." As they walked toward the break room, Marcus caught Laura's arm. "He's good, really good. But I'm worried about the commitment level. Can he really do this job and be present for his daughter?" "Yes." "You sound sure." "I am sure. Because he's not doing this despite Sophie. He's doing it for her. To show her that losing someone doesn't mean losing yourself. That's a different kind of motivation. Stronger." In the break room, Sophie had fallen asleep on the couch, rabbit clutched to her chest, coloring book open beside her. Daniel's entire face softened when he saw her. He knelt beside the couch, gently touched her shoulder. "Sophie, sweetheart, time to go." She blinked awake, confused for a moment, then saw her father and smiled. "Did you get the job, Daddy?" "Maybe. They want me to help them with a project first." "That's good." Sophie sat up, rubbing her eyes. "You're really smart. They should want your help." Laura watched Daniel help his daughter with her coat, the gentle way he fixed her hair, the patience in every movement. This was a man who'd learned what mattered, who'd paid the highest price for that lesson. They walked to the elevator together. Sophie held Daniel's hand and looked up at Laura. "Do you work here?" "I do." "Is it fun?" Laura laughed. "Sometimes. Is school fun?" "Sometimes. Mostly I like reading and art. Math is hard." "Math is hard," Laura agreed. "Your dad's really good at math, though." "I know. He helps me with homework. He makes it make sense." The elevator arrived. Daniel turned to Laura. "Thank you. For this. For believing I could do it when I didn't believe it myself." "You've got this. I know you do." As the doors closed, Laura caught Sophie's voice. "I like her, Daddy. She's nice." And Daniel's soft reply, "Yeah, she is." Laura walked back to the conference room. Marcus and the team were still there debating. "Well?" she asked. Marcus grinned. "Send him the contract for the consulting project. Let's see what he's got." That night, Daniel sat at his kitchen table with laptop borrowed from the library and 300 pages of technical specifications Laura had emailed. Sophie was asleep. The apartment was quiet except for the hum of the refrigerator and distant traffic. He opened the first file and started reading. Within 20 minutes, he'd found 4 significant problems. Within an hour, he'd mapped out potential solutions to 3 of them. By midnight, he was sketching designs that made his hands shake with excitement he hadn't felt in 3 years. This wasn't just fixing a car on the highway. This was creating something new, solving puzzles nobody else could solve, using his brain the way it was meant to be used. Daniel's phone buzzed. Text from Laura. "How's it going?" He typed back. "Found some issues. Think I can help." 3 dots appeared, disappeared, appeared again. "I knew you could. Get some sleep." He smiled at the screen, then looked at the research spread across his table. Sleep could wait. For the first time in 3 years, Daniel Walker had something worth staying awake for. The week flew by in a blur of analysis and late nights and video calls with Tom's engineering team. Daniel worked after Sophie went to bed before she woke up during lunch breaks at the garage. His boss noticed his distraction, but didn't say anything. The work was still getting done. Friday afternoon, Daniel submitted his report. 47 pages. Detailed analysis. 6 major recommendations. Complete redesign of the battery thermal management system. Laura called 20 minutes later. "Daniel, the team just read your report." His stomach dropped. "And Tom says it's brilliant. Marcus wants to offer you a full-time position. Senior engineer, flexible hours, work from home 3 days a week. Starting salary $85,000 with performance bonuses." Daniel sat down hard on his couch. 85,000. More than he'd made at Summit. More than he'd dreamed of making again. "Daniel. You there?" "I'm here. That's a lot." "It's what you're worth." "What do you say?" He looked around his small apartment, at Sophie's drawings on the refrigerator, at the worn furniture and the life they'd built from ruins. Safe, small, predictable. Then he looked at the laptop showing his designs, at proof that he was still capable, still valuable, still himself. "Can I have the weekend to talk to Sophie?" "Of course. Take all the time you need." That night, Daniel made spaghetti for dinner, Sophie's favorite. They ate together at the small table, and she told him about school, about her friend Emma, who could do a cartwheel about the book she was reading about dragons. "Sophie, I need to talk to you about something." She looked up suddenly serious. Kids always knew when something big was coming. "The job I interviewed for, they want to hire me." "That's good, right?" "It is good. But it means things will change. I'll be working more. Not as much as before when Mommy was here, but more than now. You'd still go to the same school, still see your friends. But I might not be able to pick you up every day. We'd need someone to watch you sometimes." Sophie put down her fork. Her eyes were so much older than 8. "Do you want the job, Daddy?" "I think so, but only if you're okay with it." "Will you be happier?" The question knocked the breath out of him. "What?" "You've been sad for a long time, since Mommy died. You try to hide it, but I know. Will this job make you less sad?" Daniel reached across the table and took his daughter's small hand. "I don't know if anything can make me less sad about losing Mommy. But this job makes me feel like myself again. Like the part of me that died with her might not be completely gone." Sophie nodded slowly. "Then you should take it." "You're sure?" "Mommy wouldn't want you to be sad forever. She'd want you to fix things. That's what you do. You fix things." Daniel pulled his daughter into his lap and held her tight. This wise little person who carried her mother's heart. "When did you get so smart?" "I've always been smart. You just don't notice because you're busy being sad." He laughed through tears. "You're right. I'm sorry." "It's okay, Daddy. You can be sad and happy at the same time. That's allowed." Monday morning, Daniel called Laura. "I'm in." He heard her exhale like she'd been holding her breath all weekend. Yeah. When do I start?" "How's next Monday? Gives us time to do paperwork, set up your workspace, get you access to everything you need." "Next Monday's perfect." "Daniel, you won't regret this." I already don't. After he hung up, Daniel sat in his quiet apartment and let himself feel it. Fear and excitement and hope all mixed together. The future opening up like a door he'd thought was locked forever. He thought about Elena, about what she'd say if she could see him now. She'd probably tell him he was being an idiot for waiting so long. She'd probably laugh at his nervousness. She'd definitely approve of Laura, of this unexpected guardian angel who'd appeared on a highway and refused to let him disappear. "Wish you were here to see this," he whispered to the empty room. "Wish you could meet Sophie's new friend. Wish you could tell me I'm doing the right thing." The apartment stayed silent. But somewhere in that silence, Daniel found something that felt like permission. Like Elena letting go. Like her telling him it was okay to move forward without her. He picked up his phone and texted Laura. "Thank you for everything." Her reply came immediately. "Thank you for taking a chance. You're going to change everything." Daniel hoped she was right, because he'd just bet his and Sophie's entire future on a sandwich and a stranger's belief that broken things could be fixed. Even hearts. Especially hearts. Monday morning came too fast and too slow at the same time. Daniel stood in front of his closet at 5:30 a.m., staring at clothes he hadn't worn in 3 years. The dress shirts hung like ghosts of who he used to be. He pulled one out. It smelled like storage and lost time. Behind him, Sophie appeared in the doorway, rubbing sleep from her eyes. "You're up early, Daddy." "Big day, sweetheart. First day at the new job." She climbed onto his bed, Rabbit tucked under her arm. "Are you scared?" Daniel sat beside her. "A little. Is that okay?" "It's okay to be scared. My teacher says being scared means you care about something." "Your teacher's smart. Are you going to be good at it?" "I don't know. I hope so." Sophie leaned against him. "You will be. You're good at everything." If only that were true. Daniel kissed the top of her head and went to finish getting ready. By 7:15, they were in the car. Daniel dropped Sophie at school, watched her run toward her friends, backpack bouncing. She turned and waved. He waved back, throat tight. The drive to Harborline took 20 minutes. Daniel parked in the visitor lot because he didn't have a badge yet, didn't have an assigned space, didn't belong here yet, maybe wouldn't ever belong. He killed the engine and sat there, hands gripping the steering wheel. 3 years. 3 years since he'd walked into an office as anything other than a visitor. 3 years since he'd been Daniel Walker the engineer, instead of Daniel Walker, the guy who fixes cars and makes sandwiches for school lunches. His phone buzzed. Text from Laura. "You got this. I'm here if you need anything." Daniel typed back, "Thanks. Here goes nothing." The lobby was all glass and steel, and people who looked like they knew exactly where they belonged. Daniel approached the reception desk. "Hi, I'm Daniel Walker. It's my first day." The receptionist smiled. "Welcome to Harborline. Let me get someone from HR." 10 minutes later, Daniel had a badge, a laptop, a stack of paperwork, and a tour guide named Jennifer, who talked very fast about parking validation and health insurance options and the cafeteria schedule. His head spun, trying to keep up. "And here's your workspace." Jennifer opened a door to a small office, not a cubicle, an actual office with a door and a window. "Laura requested you have your own space since you'll need quiet for deep work. There's a docking station for your laptop, monitors are all set up, and if you need anything, just message facilities." "This is great. Thank you." "Team meetings at 9 in conference room B. Tom will introduce you to everyone. Coffee's down the hall. Bathrooms are around the corner. Any questions?" About 1,000, but Daniel just shook his head. Alone in his new office, he set down his laptop and looked around. It was small, but it was his. A space where his brain could work, where he could think and create and be the person he used to be, if he remembered how. At 9 sharp, Daniel walked into conference room B. 12 people sat around a long table. Tom Chen stood at the head, and when Daniel entered, everyone turned to look. "Everyone, this is Daniel Walker. He's joining us as senior engineer, and based on the consulting work he just did, he's about to make all of us look bad." Polite laughter. Daniel forced a smile. Tom went around the table. Names Daniel immediately forgot. Titles that meant nothing yet. Faces that blurred together into a wall of strangers who all seemed to know exactly what they were doing while he felt like a fraud in a borrowed shirt. Daniel want to give us a quick background. Every eye on him. Daniel's mouth went dry. Sure. I worked at Summit Technologies for 8 years, focused on battery efficiency and thermal management. Left 3 years ago for personal reasons. Been out of the field but stayed current with research. Glad to be here. Short. Professional. Didn't mention Elena or cancer or the nights he spent reading papers to keep from drowning in grief. Daniel's already identified some significant issues with our current design. Tom pulled up slides. He's going to lead the redesign of our thermal management system. It's ambitious, aggressive timeline, but if anyone can pull it off, I think he can. Daniel's stomach dropped. Lead the redesign. He thought he'd be contributing, helping, not leading. A woman named Rachel raised her hand. What's the timeline? 6 weeks to initial prototype, 3 months to production ready. That's impossible. We've been working on this for a year. Which is why we need fresh eyes. Daniel, you want to walk us through your preliminary design? Daniel hadn't prepared a presentation, hadn't expected to present anything today, but he pulled out his laptop connected to the screen and opened his files. The core issue is heat transfer between cells. Current spacing and separator materials create hot spots that accelerate degradation. He pulled up schematics. By switching to ceramic-coated separators and adjusting cell spacing, we can reduce heat transfer by 30%. Add improved cooling channels here, and we're looking at 40% better thermal performance. Silence. Then Rachel spoke. That's going to increase manufacturing costs significantly. By about 12% per unit, but longevity increases by 50%. Total cost of ownership goes down. Another engineer, Kevin, leaned forward. The ceramic separators. We tried those 2 years ago. They failed. Different supplier, better quality control. I've contacted 3 manufacturers who can meet our specs. You've already contacted them. Tom looked surprised. Last week, during the consulting project. Wanted to verify feasibility before proposing anything. Tom grinned. See, this is why we hired him. The meeting continued another hour. Technical debates. Questions Daniel mostly could answer. A few he couldn't. Each time he said, "I don't know," felt like failure, like proof he didn't belong here. When it finally ended, Daniel escaped back to his office and closed the door. His hands were shaking. His shirt was soaked with sweat. 6 weeks to redesign something the team had struggled with for a year. 3 months to production. And somehow he was supposed to lead this. A knock on his door. Laura poked her head in. "How's it going?" Terrifying. She stepped inside and closed the door. "Tom says you crushed it in the meeting." Tom's being nice. I didn't know half the answers. Nobody knows all the answers on day 1, Daniel. You'll figure it out. What if I can't? What if I'm too rusty, too slow, too far behind? Laura sat in the chair across from his desk. Then you'll learn. You'll catch up. You'll ask questions. That's what everyone does. Everyone else hasn't been gone for 3 years. No, but everyone else isn't you. She leaned forward. I've seen a lot of engineers, Daniel. Smart people, talented people. But most of them are just executing, following playbooks. You see things differently. You think differently. That's rare. That's valuable. Don't let imposter syndrome steal that from you. Daniel wanted to believe her, wanted to feel the confidence she had in him, but all he felt was fear. I have to pick up Sophie at 3. Is that okay? It's more than okay. Go be with your daughter. Come back tomorrow. It gets easier. After Laura left, Daniel tried to work. Pulled up CAD software he hadn't used in years. The interface had changed. Took him 20 minutes to figure out how to do what used to take 30 seconds. By the time 3 o'clock came, he'd accomplished almost nothing. Sophie was waiting at pickup, and when she saw him, her whole face lit up. "Daddy, how was it?" "It was okay. How was school?" "Good. We learned about fractions. I hate fractions." Daniel laughed. "Me too, sweetheart." That night, he made dinner while Sophie did homework at the kitchen table. She struggled with math problems, eraser shavings piling up as she worked through them. Daniel helped when she asked, but mostly he let her figure it out herself. That's what Elena had always said. Let her struggle. Struggling builds strength. After Sophie went to bed, Daniel opened his laptop, worked until midnight. Then 1 a.m. Then 2. The design was coming together, but slower than it should. Slower than it used to. His brain felt rusty, like a machine that hadn't been oiled in years. Tuesday was harder than Monday. Wednesday, worse than Tuesday. By Thursday, Daniel was exhausted and convinced he'd made a terrible mistake. Tom called him into his office Thursday afternoon. "How are you settling in?" "Fine." A lie. "You look tired." "I'm fine." Another lie. Tom studied him. "Daniel, I need you to be honest with me. Can you do this? Because if the timeline's too aggressive, we can adjust. We can bring in more people to help, but I need to know now." Daniel thought about Sophie, about the salary that let him pay rent without panic, about the chance to be himself again. "I can do this." "You sure?" "I'm sure." Tom nodded slowly. "Okay." "But Daniel, asking for help isn't weakness. It's strategy." After work, Daniel picked up Sophie and took her to the park. She played on the swings while he sat on a bench watching. Another parent sat nearby, a woman typing on her phone. Sophie ran over breathless. "Daddy, can you push me?" Daniel stood and pushed his daughter on the swings higher and higher, her laughter cutting through his exhaustion. This was why he was doing it. Not for himself. For her. To show her that starting over was possible. That falling down didn't mean staying down. "Higher, Daddy." He pushed higher. She shrieked with joy. When they got home, there was a box on his doorstep. Daniel opened it. Inside were books. Advanced battery technology, thermal management systems, latest research compilations, and a note in Laura's handwriting. Thought these might help. "You're not alone in this." Daniel stood there holding the note, something cracking in his chest. He wasn't alone. For 3 years, he'd been alone. Him and Sophie against the world. But now, there was Laura. There was Tom. There was a team of people who believed in him even when he didn't believe in himself. Friday morning, Daniel came in early. Before anyone else arrived, he spread his designs across the conference room table, looked at them with fresh eyes, saw the problems clearly now, saw the solutions too. When Tom arrived at 7:30, Daniel was already working. "You're here early." "Couldn't sleep. I think I've been approaching this wrong." "How so?" "I've been trying to redesign the whole system. But we don't need to redesign everything. Just 3 key components. Focus here, here, and here. Leave the rest unchanged. Cuts development time in half." Tom looked at the designs. "This could work." "It will work. I need to run simulations to confirm, but the math checks out." "When did you figure this out?" "About 4 a.m. Tom laughed. "You're doing it again, aren't you? The all-nighter thing?" "It's not an all-nighter if you go to sleep eventually." "Daniel, pace yourself. This is a marathon, not a sprint." But Daniel was already lost in the designs. Fingers flying across his keyboard. The rusty machine of his brain finally starting to turn smoothly again. The next 3 weeks blurred together. Early mornings. Late nights after Sophie slept. Simulations and prototypes and tests. Small victories and crushing setbacks. The team rallied around Daniel's design, each person contributing pieces. Rachel handled material sourcing. Kevin managed manufacturing specs. Tom ran interference with upper management. And Laura checked in daily. Sometimes just a text. Sometimes coffee on his desk. Sometimes sitting in his office while he worked, not saying anything, just being present. "You don't have to babysit me," Daniel said one evening. "I'm not babysitting. I'm keeping you company." "I'm working." "I know. I like watching you work. You get this look. Like everything else disappears, and it's just you and the problem." Daniel glanced up. "What kind of look?" "Like you're exactly where you're supposed to be." Something passed between them. Something unspoken but real. Daniel looked away first. "Sophie asks about you. Wants to know when you're coming over for dinner." "Tell her any time. I make terrible spaghetti, but I'm excellent at ordering pizza." "She'd like that." Yeah. Friday evening, 3 weeks into the project, Marcus called an emergency meeting. Daniel's stomach dropped. Emergency meetings meant problems. Meant delays or budget cuts or cancellations. But when he walked into the conference room, the entire executive team was there. Board members. People in expensive suits who made decisions about the company's future. Marcus stood. "Daniel, thanks for joining us. We've been reviewing the progress on the battery redesign. We're impressed. Very impressed." Daniel's mouth went dry. "Thank you. So impressed that we want to accelerate the timeline. We've got investors coming in 4 weeks. We need a working prototype to show them. Can you do it?" 4 weeks. They'd been working for 3, and still had 6 more planned. 4 weeks was impossible. Daniel thought about Sophie, about the salary, about what failure meant. Then he thought about the design, about the team, about what was actually possible versus what fear told him was impossible. "We can do it, but I'll need more resources, more testing time, and the team will need to work weekends." "Whatever you need. This is our shot to secure major funding. We need to nail this." After the meeting, Daniel sat in his office, head in his hands. 4 weeks. He'd just committed to the impossible. Tom knocked and entered. "You okay?" "I just promised them something I'm not sure we can deliver." "We'll deliver. I've seen what you can do, Daniel. When you're locked in, you're unstoppable." "I haven't been unstoppable in 3 years." "Maybe you just needed something worth being unstoppable for." That weekend, Daniel brought Sophie to the office. He had to work, had no other option, and his neighbor was out of town. Sophie sat up in his office with books and her tablet while Daniel worked in the lab. Laura found them there Saturday afternoon. Sophie was reading while Daniel ran simulations at his desk. "You're both here." Sophie looked up and grinned. "Hi, Laura." "Hi, sweetheart. What are you reading?" "Harry Potter, the 3rd one. It's really good." Laura sat beside her. "That's my favorite one. Have you met Sirius yet?" "Just. He seems nice." "He's the best. Hey, I have an idea. Why don't you and I go get lunch while your dad works? Give him some quiet time." Daniel looked up. "You don't have to do that." "I want to. Sophie and I can hang out. Girl time." Sophie's eyes lit up. "Can we, Daddy?" Daniel hesitated. He barely let Sophie out of his sight except for school. The thought of her being somewhere he couldn't immediately reach her made his chest tight. But he looked at Laura's open, honest face, at Sophie's hopeful expression. "Okay, but keep your phone on. Always." He watched them leave together, Sophie's small hand in Laura's larger one, chattering about her book. The door closed, and Daniel was alone with his work, and a feeling he couldn't quite name. It felt like trust. Like letting go just enough to let someone else in. Like maybe they weren't alone anymore, him and Sophie. Like maybe family could be built, not just born into. He turned back to his simulations and worked. 2 hours later, his phone rang. Laura's voice came through bright and breathless. "We're at the aquarium. Sophie wanted to see the beluga whales. They're incredible. You should see her face." In the background, Daniel heard Sophie squealing with delight. "She's okay. She's perfect. We'll be back in an hour. Focus on work. We've got this." Daniel hung up and realized he was smiling. Really smiling. For the first time in 3 years, the weight on his chest felt lighter. He dove back into work with something he hadn't felt in forever, hope that everything might actually be okay. The prototype came together with 3 days to spare. Not perfect, but functional. Not revolutionary, but solid. Exactly what they needed. Wednesday morning, the team gathered in the lab for final testing. Daniel connected the battery system, ran diagnostics, held his breath. Green lights across the board. Thermal performance 42% better than baseline. Charging efficiency up 37%. Every metric better than projected. Tom clapped him on the shoulder. "You did it. We did it. No, you did it. This was your vision. We just helped build it." That night, Daniel took Sophie out for ice cream. They sat at a plastic table under fluorescent lights and talked about nothing important. She told him about school drama. He told her about molecules. Neither of them understood what the other was saying, but it didn't matter. "You seem happier, Daddy." "I am happier. Because of your job. Because of a lot of things. The job. You, Laura. All of it." Sophie swirled her spoon through melting chocolate. "Do you think Mommy would like Laura?" Daniel's throat tightened. "Yeah, sweetheart. I think she'd like her a lot." "Me too. Laura's nice. She listens when I talk. And she doesn't treat me like a baby." "That's important." "Are you and Laura dating?" Daniel nearly choked on his ice cream. "What, no? We're just friends." "But you like her." "Of course I like her." "No, I mean like her like her." "Sophie." "It's okay if you do, Daddy. I won't be sad. I think Mommy would want you to be happy." Daniel looked at his daughter, this impossibly wise 8-year-old, who understood things she shouldn't have to understand. "I'm not ready for that yet." "That's okay. But when you are, I think Laura would be good." Friday arrived. Presentation day. Daniel wore his best shirt, practiced his talking points, tried not to throw up from nerves. The boardroom was intimidating. Leather chairs, massive table, 15 people in expensive suits who could decide the company's fate with a single vote. Marcus made introductions. Tom set up the prototype. And Daniel stood at the front of the room with a laser pointer and slides and 3 years of rust trying to shake his confidence. "Good morning. I'm Daniel Walker, Senior Engineer. 3 weeks ago, you asked for a prototype that would revolutionize our battery efficiency. Here's what we built." He walked them through the design, the problems they'd solved, the innovations they'd implemented, the data showing 42% improvement in thermal performance. Questions came fast. Hard questions, technical questions, cost questions, manufacturing questions. Daniel answered each one. Not perfectly, not always immediately, but honestly, competently, like someone who knew exactly what he was talking about because he did. When he finished, the room was silent. Daniel's heart hammered. He'd blown it, said something wrong, failed. Then one of the investors stood and started clapping, slowly at first. Then others joined, until the entire room was applauding. Marcus grinned. "Ladies and gentlemen, I think we have our future." After the presentation, Daniel escaped to his office. His hands were shaking. His shirt was soaked. But he'd done it. Actually done it. Laura appeared in his doorway. "You were amazing. I was terrified." You were amazing and terrified. Both things can be true. She walked in, and without thinking, without planning, Daniel stood and hugged her. Laura went still for a moment, then wrapped her arms around him. "Thank you," he said into her shoulder. "For everything. For believing in me. For being here. For taking Sophie to see whales. For all of it. You don't have to thank me. I do. You changed my life. Laura pulled back, looked at him. You changed your own life. I just gave you a push. Best push I ever got. They stood there, close enough to feel each other breathing, close enough for Daniel to see flecks of gold in Laura's eyes he'd never noticed before. Then his phone buzzed. Text from his neighbor. Sophie's ready for pickup whenever you're done. The moment broke. Daniel stepped back. I should go get Sophie. Go. Celebrate with her. You earned it. Daniel grabbed his jacket. At the door, he turned back. Laura, you want to come over for dinner tonight? Nothing fancy. Just pizza and maybe a movie. Sophie would love it. Laura smiled. I'd love it too. That night, the three of them sat on Daniel's worn couch, eating pizza straight from the box, watching Finding Nemo for probably the 100th time. Sophie fell asleep halfway through, head on Laura's shoulder. Daniel looked at them and felt something shift in his chest. Something scary and wonderful and terrifying. Something that felt like moving forward instead of just surviving. Something that felt like hope. Laura caught him staring. What? Nothing. Just, thank you for being here. Where else would I be? Exactly, Daniel thought. Where else would any of them be except right here, right now, building something new from broken pieces? Outside Chicago, traffic hummed. Inside, his daughter slept, and his maybe more than friend smiled at him. And for the first time in 3 years, Daniel Walker felt like he was exactly where he was supposed to be. The movie credits rolled, and Laura shifted carefully, trying not to wake Sophie. Daniel stood and gently lifted his daughter, carrying her to bed. She mumbled something about fish and buried her face in his shoulder. Night, sweetheart. He tucked her in, kissed her forehead, closed the door halfway. The nightlight cast soft shadows across her room. When he returned to the living room, Laura was cleaning up pizza boxes. You don't have to do that. I know. She folded the boxes neatly. But I want to. They worked in comfortable silence, tidying the small space. Daniel washed dishes while Laura wiped down the counter. Domestic. Easy. Like they'd done this 1,000 times before. She really loves you, you know, Daniel said quietly. Sophie. She talks about you constantly. Laura smiled. The feeling's mutual. She's an amazing kid. She is. I don't know how I got so lucky. You're a good father, Daniel. She's lucky too. He dried his hands on a towel, turned to face her. They were close in the small kitchen, close enough that he could smell her perfume, something light and clean. Laura, I need to tell you something. She went still. Okay. When you showed up at my door that day, I thought you were crazy. Some corporate executive stalking me, offering me a job I didn't deserve. I almost didn't call you back. What changed your mind? Sophie. She said you looked at me the way Elena used to look at me, like I was magic. Daniel's voice caught. I haven't felt like magic in 3 years. Haven't felt like anything except broken. But you saw something in me I couldn't see in myself, and I don't know how to thank you for that. Laura stepped closer. You don't have to thank me. Watching you come back to life these past few weeks has been thanks enough. It's more than that, though. You've become family. To both of us. And I just wanted you to know that you matter, that we'd be lost without you. Daniel. His phone rang. The shrill sound shattered the moment. Daniel glanced at the screen. Marcus. I'm sorry. I have to take this. Laura nodded, stepped back. The space between them felt suddenly vast. Marcus. Everything okay? More than okay. The investors just committed. $50 million. They want to move into production immediately. Board meeting Monday to finalize everything. Daniel, you did it? You saved the company. Daniel's legs went weak. He sat down hard on the couch. $50 million. $50 million. And they specifically cited your design as the reason. You're about to become very valuable to this company. After hanging up, Daniel just sat there, phone in hand, trying to process. Laura sat beside him. Good news. The investors committed. 50 million. We're moving to production. Daniel, that's incredible. It doesn't feel real. It's real. You earned this. He looked at her, this woman who'd changed everything, and felt something shift inside his chest. Something that felt like possibility. Like maybe he could have more than just survival. Maybe he could have happiness too. But before he could say anything, Laura stood. I should go. It's late. You've had a big day. Stay. The word came out before he could stop it. I mean, it's late. You could take the couch. I don't want you driving tired. Laura studied his face. Whatever she saw there made her nod slowly. Okay. Just tonight. Daniel gave her blankets and a pillow, said goodnight, went to his room. But he didn't sleep. Just lay there staring at the ceiling, thinking about $50 million and second chances, and the woman sleeping 20 feet away who'd made all of it possible. In the living room, Laura didn't sleep either. She lay on the couch listening to the quiet sounds of the apartment and wondering when exactly she'd fallen for Daniel Walker, when helping him had turned into needing him, when his success had become more important than her own. Morning came with Sophie jumping on Daniel's bed. Daddy, Laura's still here. Can we make pancakes? Daniel groaned and checked his phone. 6:30. Sophie, it's Saturday. We could sleep in. But Laura's here. We should make pancakes. In the living room, Laura was already awake folding blankets. Morning. Sorry I tried to keep her quiet. It's fine. Apparently we're making pancakes. They cooked together in the cramped kitchen, Sophie directing like a tiny general. Daniel handled the batter while Laura manned the griddle. They bumped into each other, laughed, worked around each other with surprising ease. Over breakfast, Sophie talked non-stop about her week, her friends a field trip coming up to the Science Museum. Can Laura come, Daddy, please? Sophie, Laura has work. Actually, I'm off that day. Laura smiled at Sophie. I'd love to come. If it's okay with your dad. Daniel looked at his daughter's hopeful face, at Laura's genuine smile, and felt his resistance crumble. Okay, Laura can come. Sophie cheered and threw her arms around Laura's neck. Over Sophie's shoulder, Laura met Daniel's eyes. Something passed between them. Something unspoken but understood. They were becoming something. He didn't know what yet, but something. Monday morning brought the board meeting Daniel had been dreading. He sat at the massive conference table, surrounded by executives and lawyers, and people who spoke in acronyms he barely understood. Marcus presented the investor deal. $50 million in exchange for 20% equity. Production timeline, marketing strategy, distribution plans. Then he turned to Daniel. Our success here is built entirely on the innovation of our engineering team, led by Daniel Walker. Daniel, can you give us a production timeline? Every eye turned to him. Daniel pulled up his presentation, forced his voice steady. Initial production run in 8 weeks. Full-scale manufacturing in 6 months. We've streamlined the supply chain, identified backup suppliers for critical components, and built-in quality control checkpoints at every stage. Questions came. Daniel answered them. Not always perfectly, but confidently. Like someone who knew his stuff because he did. At the end, the board voted unanimously to approve the deal. After the meeting, one of the board members approached Daniel. Harold Chen, 60-something, sharp eyes, reputation for being impossible to impress. Mr. Walker, that was an impressive presentation. Thank you, sir. I understand you left Summit Technologies 3 years ago. Personal reasons. Daniel's shoulders tensed. That's correct. I also understand your wife passed away. Cancer. I'm sorry for your loss. I appreciate that. Harold studied him carefully. My wife died 5 years ago. Heart attack. Sudden. No warning. I thought my life was over. Thought I'd never be able to work again. Never be able to focus on anything except the loss. Daniel didn't know what to say. Just waited. But here's what I learned. The best way to honor the people we've lost is to keep living. Keep creating. Keep pushing forward. Your wife would be proud of what you're doing here. You didn't know my wife. No, but I know grief. And I know what it takes to climb out of it. You're doing good work, son. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise. After he left, Daniel stood in the hallway feeling like he'd been punched. In a good way, in a way that made breathing easier. Laura found him there. You okay? Yeah, just had an unexpected conversation. Good unexpected or bad unexpected? Good, I think. Someone understood something I didn't think anyone could understand. She squeezed his hand. Brief, gentle, but it steadied him. That week blurred into action. Production meetings, supplier negotiations, quality control protocols. Daniel worked long days but kept his promise. Home for dinner, bedtime stories, Sophie's school play where she had 3 lines as a tree and took it very seriously. Laura came to the play too, sat beside Daniel in the uncomfortable auditorium chairs, and clapped louder than anyone when Sophie delivered her lines perfectly. Afterward, they took Sophie for ice cream, celebrated her theatrical debut, laughed until their sides hurt when Sophie insisted trees should have more speaking parts. You were amazing, sweetheart, Daniel said. I only had 3 lines. Best 3 lines in the whole show, Laura added. Sophie beamed. Next year I'm going to audition for a person, maybe even the lead. You'd be great as the lead. Daniel meant it. Walking back to the car, Sophie ran ahead. Laura walked beside Daniel, their hands almost touching. She's going to break hearts someday, Laura said. Don't remind me, I'm not ready for that. Are you ready for anything? Laura asked quietly. Daniel stopped walking, looked at her. Really looked. I don't know. Maybe. Are you asking about something specific? Laura's cheeks flushed. No, never mind. But Daniel caught her hand before she could walk away. Laura, what are we doing here? What do you mean? I mean us, this, whatever this is, because it feels like more than friendship, more than gratitude, and I need to know if I'm imagining that or if you feel it too. Sophie called from the car. Come on, guys, I'm cold. Laura squeezed his hand. We should talk, but not here, not now. Soon. Soon. That night Daniel lay in bed thinking about Laura's hand in his, about the way she looked at him, about the terrifying, wonderful possibility that maybe he could have this. Maybe he was allowed to be happy again. His phone buzzed. Text from Laura. I feel it too, just so you know. Daniel stared at the message for a long time before typing back. Good, because I have no idea what I'm doing. Her reply came immediately. Me neither. We'll figure it out together. The next 6 weeks were chaos. Production ramp up. Testing protocols. Manufacturing hiccups. Small fires Daniel had to put out daily. But through it all, Laura was there. Not hovering. Not interfering. Just present. A steady point in the storm. They started having coffee together every morning. Started texting throughout the day. Small things, stupid things. Photos of Sophie. Complaints about meetings. Inside jokes nobody else would understand. Sophie noticed, of course. Kids always noticed. Are you and Laura boyfriend and girlfriend now? It's complicated, sweetheart. Why? Because grown-up relationships are complicated. That's a dumb answer. Daniel laughed. You're right, it is. Honestly, I don't know what we are yet, but I like her. A lot. Do you love her? The question knocked the breath out of him. Sophie. It's okay if you do, Daddy. I told you already. I think Mommy would want you to be happy. And Laura makes you happy. I can tell. When did you get so wise? I've always been wise. You just don't listen. Daniel pulled his daughter into a hug, this impossible kid who understood everything. I love you. You know that. I know. I love you too. Now can we invite Laura over for dinner again? I want to show her my science project. 2 months after the board meeting, the first production vehicles rolled off the assembly line. Sleek, efficient, beautiful machines powered by Daniel's innovation. The company threw a launch party. Press, investors, employees. Daniel stood with Tom watching the first car drive demonstration laps around a test track. "You did it," Tom said. "Actually did it. We did it, the whole team." "No, this was you, your vision, your design. Own it, Daniel." Marcus approached with champagne and a grin. "Gentlemen, I'd like to propose a toast. To Daniel Walker, the engineer who saved Harborline Motors, and to the future we're building together." Everyone raised glasses. Daniel felt overwhelmed, grateful, terrified, all of it at once. Laura appeared beside him, beautiful in a black dress that made his heart stutter. "You clean up nice," she said. "You too. I mean, you always look nice, but especially tonight." She laughed. "Smooth, Walker. Very smooth." "I never claimed to be smooth." "Lucky for you, I like awkward engineers." The party continued around them. Music, conversation, celebration. But Daniel only had eyes for Laura. "Dance with me," he said suddenly. "Here now." "Why not?" She took his hand and let him lead her to the makeshift dance floor. They swayed together, barely moving, just being close. "Thank you," Daniel said against her hair. "For all of it. For believing in me. For being here. For everything." "You keep thanking me. You need to stop." "I can't. You changed my life." Laura pulled back, looked up at him. "You changed your own life, Daniel. You did the work. Made the sacrifices. Built something incredible. I just gave you a push. Best push I ever got." They danced in silence for a moment. Then Laura spoke, her voice barely audible over the music. "I'm falling for you. Just so you know. Have been for weeks, maybe months. And it terrifies me because I don't know if you're ready. If Sophie's ready. If any of this is a good idea. But I can't pretend anymore. I can't keep acting like this is just friendship when it feels like so much more." Daniel stopped moving, his heart hammered against his ribs. "Laura, you don't have to say anything. I just needed you to know. Needed to be honest instead of hiding how I feel. I'm falling for you too." The words came out rushed, raw, true. "Have been since that morning you showed up at my door looking terrified and determined and completely insane. But I'm scared. Scared of failing. Scared of hurting you. Scared of what it means to let someone in after Elena. I'm scared too. But maybe that's okay. Maybe being scared means we're doing something that matters." Daniel cupped her face in his hands. "I don't know how to do this. Haven't dated in 15 years. Haven't thought about anyone except Elena and Sophie. I'm going to mess this up, probably multiple times. I'll mess it up too. We'll figure it out together. Sophie likes you, loves you actually. She'll be okay with this. And you, will you be okay with this?" Daniel looked at this woman who'd saved him without asking for anything in return. Who'd seen him at his worst and believed he could be better. Who'd become family without either of them quite meaning for it to happen. "Yeah, I'll be okay with this. More than okay." He kissed her, soft and tentative at first, then deeper, real. Right there in the middle of the party with everyone watching and nobody caring because this moment belonged to them. When they broke apart, Laura was smiling. "So, is this the part where we talk about what happens next?" "I think so. But can we do it tomorrow, when I'm not terrified and overwhelmed and completely out of my depth?" "Tomorrow works. But Daniel, we're doing this, you and me, really doing this." "Yeah, we are." The party wound down. Daniel found Sophie with Tom's kids playing some elaborate game involving toy cars and a lot of sound effects. She looked up when he approached. "Ready to go home, sweetheart? Can Laura come?" Daniel glanced at Laura, who'd followed him over. "Do you want to come?" "Always." In the car, Sophie chattered about the party, the cars, the food. But when they pulled up to the apartment, she went quiet. "Daddy, are you and Laura together now, like boyfriend and girlfriend?" Daniel met Laura's eyes in the rearview mirror. She nodded slightly. "Yeah, sweetheart, we are. Is that okay?" Sophie was quiet for a long moment, long enough that Daniel's chest tightened with worry. Then she unbuckled and threw her arms around both of them from the back seat. "Finally, I've been waiting forever for you guys to figure it out." Daniel laughed, relief flooding through him. Daddy, you're smart about cars and batteries and stuff, but you're really dumb about people." Laura cracked up. "She's not wrong. Thanks for the support." Inside the apartment, Sophie got ready for bed, while Daniel and Laura sat on the couch. Close, but not touching. Still figuring out how to be this new thing they'd become. "She took that well," Laura said. "She's been telling me for weeks that I should ask you out. Apparently I'm oblivious. Kids see things clearly sometimes." Sophie appeared in her pajamas, rabbit tucked under her arm. She climbed onto the couch between them. "Laura, can I ask you something?" "Of course, sweetie." "Are you going to be like a mom to me, because I don't really remember my real mom very much, and that makes me sad sometimes?" Daniel's throat closed. He started to speak, but Laura beat him to it. "Sophie, I will never try to replace your mom. She was special and important, and she loved you so much. But I would love to be someone who cares about you and helps take care of you and is here for you whenever you need me, if that's okay with you." Sophie nodded seriously. "That's okay. I'd like that." "And Sophie," Laura continued gently, "it's okay that you don't remember your mom very much. That doesn't mean she's not part of you. She's in your smile and your laugh and the way you see the world. Your dad can tell you stories about her so you know who she was. But not remembering doesn't make you bad or wrong. It just makes you someone who was really little when something really hard happened." Sophie hugged Laura tight. "Thank you." Daniel watched them, these two people who'd become his whole world, and felt something inside him heal. Not completely. Some wounds never heal completely. But enough. Enough to move forward. Enough to be happy. Enough to build something new from broken pieces. That night, after Sophie fell asleep, and Laura left with promises to see them tomorrow, Daniel stood in his daughter's doorway watching her sleep. She looked peaceful, content, happy. "We're going to be okay, Elena." He whispered to the darkness. "I think we're actually going to be okay. I hope that's all right with you. I hope you understand. I hope you'd like her. I think you would. She's kind and strong, and she loves Sophie almost as much as I do. Almost as much as you did." The apartment stayed silent. But somehow in that silence, Daniel found peace. Monday morning brought new challenges. Production scaling issues, supplier delays, regulatory hurdles. But Daniel tackled each problem with renewed energy. He had something to work for now. Not just survival, not just getting through, but building, creating, living. Laura stopped by his office at lunch with sandwiches. "Turkey and avocado," she said, handing him one. Seemed appropriate. Daniel laughed. "Full circle, huh?" "Something like that." They ate together in comfortable silence. Then Laura spoke. "I talked to Sophie's school this morning. There's a mother-daughter event next month. Science fair prep. She asked if I could go with her since you're working. Is that okay?" Daniel's heart swelled. "More than okay. Thank you. I'm not trying to overstep, She asked, and I want to be there for her." "Laura, you're not overstepping. You're becoming exactly what we need. What we've needed for a long time. Thank you for seeing us, for choosing us. Thank you for letting me in." That afternoon, Marcus called Daniel to his office. He looked serious, concerned even. "Daniel, sit down. We need to talk." Daniel's stomach dropped. "Is something wrong?" "Wrong, no. The opposite, actually. The investors want to expand. Open a second facility, scale production faster, and they want you to lead it. Head of engineering for the entire company. Significant raise, stock options. The works. Daniel stared. Head of engineering. You've earned it. Your design is revolutionizing our entire product line. We want to build on that. But Daniel, I need to know you're ready, because this is bigger than what you're doing now. More responsibility, more pressure, more everything. Daniel thought about Sophie, about Laura, about the life they were building, about what Elena would want, about what he wanted. I'm ready, but I need to keep my flexible schedule. Still be there for Sophie. Still be present. That's non-negotiable. Marcus grinned. I expected nothing less. Congratulations, Daniel. You've earned this. That night, Daniel took Sophie and Laura out to celebrate. They went to Sophie's favorite restaurant, ordered too much food, laughed until their faces hurt. Daddy's the boss now, Sophie announced to anyone who'd listen. Not exactly the boss, sweetheart, just a bigger role. Still counts. We should celebrate. Laura raised her water glass. To new beginnings, to second chances, to families we choose and futures we build. They clinked glasses. Sophie insisted on making a toast too. To Daddy being the smartest person ever, and to Laura being the nicest, and to us being a family. Daniel's eyes burned. He looked at his daughter, at Laura, at the life he never thought he'd have again. To us. He agreed. To family. Outside the restaurant, Sophie ran ahead to look in store windows. Daniel caught Laura's hand. I love you. He said it simply, honestly. I know it's fast. I know we're still figuring things out. But I love you, and I needed you to know. Laura's eyes filled with tears, happy ones. I love you too, both of you, so much. They kissed in the middle of the sidewalk while Sophie pretended not to watch and grinned like she'd planned this all along. Maybe she had. Kids were smart like that. Walking home through Chicago streets hand in hand, Sophie between them, swinging their arms, Daniel felt something he hadn't felt in 3 years. Complete, whole, home. The broken places weren't gone. They'd never be gone. Elena would always be part of him, part of Sophie, part of their story. But broken things could be beautiful too, could be transformed into something new and strong and worth holding on to. Daniel Walker had learned that lesson the hard way. But standing there with his daughter, and the woman he loved, watching traffic flow and life continue all around them, he was grateful for every hard moment that had led him here. To this. To them. To hope. To a future built from kindness and second chances and one sandwich that changed everything. 6 months passed like water through fingers, fast and slow at the same time. Each day bringing new challenges, new victories, new moments that stitched themselves into the fabric of their lives. Daniel's promotion changed everything and nothing. He worked longer hours but smarter, delegated better, trusted his team, and every single day he was home for dinner. Every single school event he was there. Every bedtime story, every morning pancake, every ordinary Tuesday that made up the architecture of Sophie's childhood. Laura moved in on a rainy Saturday in September, not officially, just gradually. A toothbrush appeared in the bathroom. Then clothes in the closet. Then her laptop on the kitchen table. Until one day, Daniel realized she'd been staying over more nights than not, and Sophie had stopped asking when Laura was coming home because Laura was already home. Is this okay? Laura asked one morning, folding laundry that had somehow become communal. Me being here so much, I don't want to rush things. Daniel wrapped his arms around her from behind. You're not rushing anything. You're exactly where you're supposed to be. Sophie's okay with it. Sophie told me last week that we should hurry up and get married already because she's tired of having 2 bedrooms for her stuff. Laura laughed. She said that she's very practical, gets it from her mother. Laura turned in his arms. Which mother? The question hung between them. Loaded. Important. Both, Daniel said softly. She got Elena's wisdom, and she's getting your strength, your kindness, your ability to see the best in people even when they can't see it themselves. Daniel, I mean it. You're raising her with me, teaching her, loving her. That makes you her mother too, if you want to be. Laura's eyes filled. I want to be, so much. But I never want to erase Elena. Never want Sophie to think. She won't. We talk about Elena all the time. I show her pictures, tell her stories. Elena's part of our family, always will be. But Laura, there's room for you too. In Sophie's heart. In mine. There's room for all of it. They held each other in the kitchen while coffee grew cold and morning light filled the small apartment. Outside, the city woke up. Inside, a family continued learning how to be whole. October brought unexpected news. The Industry Awards Committee announced their nominations for Engineer of the Year. Daniel's name was on the list. Top 3. The ceremony would be in December. Tom burst into Daniel's office waving his phone. Did you see? I saw. It's crazy. It's not crazy. It's deserved. Your design changed everything. Not just for us, but for the entire industry. Everyone's trying to copy what you did. They can't. Daniel allowed himself a small smile. I've got 4 more patents pending. We're 2 years ahead of anyone else. Exactly. Which is why you're going to win this thing. There are 2 other nominees, both with decades more experience. Neither of them revolutionized battery technology in their first year back in the field. You did. After Tom left, Daniel sat at his desk, staring at the nomination email. Engineer of the Year. Him. The guy who'd been fixing cars for sandwiches less than a year ago. The guy who'd thought his career was over. The guy who'd given up. Except he hadn't given up. He'd just been waiting for the right moment, the right person, the right reason to try again. He called Laura. Hey, you busy? Never too busy for you. What's up? I got nominated for Engineer of the Year. Silence. Then a squeal that made him pull the phone away from his ear. Daniel. That's incredible. Oh my God, when's the ceremony? What do you wear to something like that? We need to celebrate. Her excitement was infectious. Daniel found himself grinning. Ceremony's in December, and Laura, I want you and Sophie there, both of you, as my family. We wouldn't miss it for anything. That night, they told Sophie over dinner. She dropped her fork dramatically. You're going to be famous, Daddy. Not famous, just recognized. Same thing. Can I come? Please, please, please. Of course you can come. We'll get you a fancy dress. Make it a whole thing. Will there be dancing? Probably. Then Laura needs a fancy dress too, and you need a fancy suit. We're going to look amazing. Daniel exchanged glances with Laura across the table. Their daughter. Somewhere along the way, Sophie had become theirs, not just his. November arrived with cold wind and preparation. Daniel worked with his team to finalize 3 new battery designs, each one better than the last. The company was thriving, stock price climbing, competitors scrambling, everything Marcus had hoped for and more. But success brought pressure, offers from other companies, headhunters calling weekly. One competitor offered triple his salary to jump ship. Daniel turned them all down. You're sure? Marcus asked when Daniel told him about the latest offer. That's a lot of money, life-changing money. I've got everything I need here, a team I trust, a boss who gave me a chance when nobody else would, a company that lets me be present for my daughter. You can't buy that. You're a good man, Daniel Walker. I'm a man who learned what matters. There's a difference. The week before Thanksgiving, Sophie came home from school quiet. Too quiet. Daniel noticed immediately. What's wrong, sweetheart? Nothing. Sophie. She dropped her backpack and climbed onto the couch beside him. Emma asked me today if Laura was my new mom, and I said yes. But then I felt bad because I feel like I'm forgetting Mommy. I don't remember her voice anymore, or what she smelled like, and that makes me so sad. Daniel pulled his daughter close. Come here. I want to show you something. He led Sophie to his bedroom and pulled out a box from under the bed. Inside were photos, videos, Elena's favorite sweater, her perfume, little pieces of her they'd saved. Smell this. He handed Sophie the perfume bottle. She did, and her eyes went wide. That's Mommy. I remember now. And here. Daniel opened his laptop and played a video. Elena's voice filled the room. She was laughing at something off camera, her face lit up with joy. Sophie watched tears streaming down her face. She's so pretty. She was beautiful, inside and out. And Sophie, you look just like her. You have her smile, her laugh, the way you tilt your head when you're thinking. You are your mother's daughter. Nothing can change that. But I love Laura too. Is that okay? It's more than okay. It's perfect. You're allowed to love both of them. Love doesn't run out. It multiplies. The more people you love, the bigger your heart gets. Your mom would want you to love Laura. Would want you to have someone here who cares about you and helps take care of you. That's not betrayal. That's healing. Do you love Laura, Daddy? Like you loved Mommy? Daniel thought about the question. The real honest answer. I love Laura differently than I loved Mommy. With your mom, it was first love. Young love. We grew up together, built a life from nothing. With Laura, it's grown-up love. Love that understands loss and chooses to try anyway. Both kinds are real. Both kinds matter. I don't love Laura more or less than I loved Mommy. I love her differently. And that's okay. Sophie nodded slowly. I think Mommy would like Laura. I know she would. That night after Sophie was asleep, Daniel told Laura about the conversation. She cried, and he held her. She's so wise, Laura whispered. Sometimes I forget she's only 8. She had to grow up fast, too fast. But she's still got her childhood, still gets to be a kid. That's what matters. Daniel. Can I ask you something? Anything. Where is this going us, this family we're building? Because I'm all in, completely. But I need to know you are too. Daniel pulled back to look at her. Laura Bennett. Are you asking me about my intentions? Maybe I am. My intentions are to spend the rest of my life with you, to raise Sophie together, to build something permanent and real and lasting. My intentions are to marry you, eventually, when the time's right, when Sophie's ready, when we're both sure. Is that clear enough? Laura's breath caught. You want to marry me? Of course I want to marry you. You saved my life. You love my daughter. You make me want to be better than I am. Why wouldn't I want to marry you? You haven't asked yet. Because I don't have a ring, don't have a plan, don't have any of the things you're supposed to have when you propose. I don't need things. I just need to know you're serious. Daniel kissed her, deep and long and full of promise. I'm serious. About all of it. About you. About us. About forever. Thanksgiving came with Laura's parents visiting from Ohio. They'd met Sophie via video calls, but never in person. Daniel was terrified. What if they hate me? He asked the morning they arrived. They won't hate you. They're going to love you. I'm a widower with a kid and a complicated past. You're a brilliant engineer who loves their daughter and treats her like a queen. They'll love you. She was right. Laura's father, Richard, was a retired teacher who spent the first hour asking Sophie about school. Her mother, Patricia, helped cook and told embarrassing stories about Laura's childhood. Over dinner, Richard raised his glass. I want to thank you all for welcoming us into your home. And I want to say something to you, Daniel. When Laura told us about you, about how you met, about your situation, I'll be honest, I was worried. Not because of who you are, but because I didn't want to see my daughter hurt. But watching you together, watching you with Sophie, I see something beautiful. I see a family built on love and respect and genuine care. That's rare. That's precious. So thank you for loving my daughter. Thank you for letting her love you and Sophie. You're good people. All of you. Daniel's throat tightened. Thank you, sir. That means more than you know. Sophie stood up. I want to say something too. I'm thankful for Daddy because he's the best dad ever. And I'm thankful for Laura because she makes us a real family. And I'm thankful for both my moms because they both love me. And I'm thankful for new grandparents because now I have people who can spoil me. Everyone laughed through tears. Patricia hugged Sophie tight. Oh, sweetheart, we're going to spoil you rotten. December arrived with snow and anticipation. The award ceremony was 2 weeks away. Daniel bought a new suit. Laura found a dress that made her look like she belonged on a red carpet. Sophie got a navy blue dress with sparkles that she refused to take off. The night before the ceremony, Daniel couldn't sleep. He lay in bed staring at the ceiling, thinking about how far he'd come, from broken to whole, from alone to surrounded, from giving up to trying again. Laura stirred beside him. You're awake. Can't sleep. Nervous. Terrified. She rolled over, propped herself on one elbow. You're going to win tomorrow. You don't know that. I know you. I know your work. I know what you've accomplished. You're going to win. And if I don't, then we go home, eat ice cream, and celebrate anyway, because you've already won, Daniel. You got your life back. You got Sophie back. You got us. Everything else is just bonus. He pulled her close. How did I get so lucky? A car broke down. You stopped to help, and the universe decided to reward kindness. Best breakdown ever. The ceremony was held in a massive hotel ballroom downtown. Crystal chandeliers, round tables with white linens, 500 people in formal wear. Daniel felt completely out of place. Sophie gripped his hand. This is fancy, Daddy. It really is. You look handsome, though, like a prince. And you look like a princess. Their table was near the front. Tom and his wife, Marcus and his husband, Rachel from the team, and Daniel's family, Laura and Sophie. The people who mattered most. Dinner was served, speeches were given, awards for various categories. Then the announcer stepped up to the microphone. And now for our final award of the evening, Engineer of the Year. This award recognizes not just technical excellence, but innovation that transforms our industry. This year's nominees represent the best of the best. The winner is someone who, after a significant personal tragedy, returned to the field and within 1 year revolutionized battery technology, leading to breakthroughs that will impact sustainable transportation for decades to come. Daniel's heart hammered. Sophie squeezed his hand. Laura smiled at him. The Engineer of the Year award goes to Daniel Walker of Harborline Motors. The room erupted in applause. Daniel sat there stunned. Sophie jumped up and down. Laura kissed his cheek. Go get your award. Daniel walked to the stage in a daze, shook hands with the presenter, accepted a crystal trophy that caught the light like a promise, stepped up to the microphone. 500 people stared at him, waiting. I don't have a speech prepared. Honestly, didn't think I'd win. But standing here, I realize I need to thank some people. First, my team at Harborline, Tom, Rachel, Kevin. Everyone who believed in designs that seemed impossible and made them real. Marcus for giving me a chance when I had nothing to offer but potential. My daughter Sophie for reminding me why innovation matters. For showing me that building a better future isn't just about technology, but about leaving something good behind for the next generation. He found Laura in the audience. And Laura Bennett. A year ago, my car broke down on I-90. Laura stopped. She gave me a sandwich when I asked for nothing. Then, she tracked me down and offered me a job I didn't think I deserved. She believed in me when I'd stopped believing in myself. She saw something worth saving. This award isn't just mine. It's hers too. It belongs to everyone who's ever stopped for a stranger, who's ever taken a chance on someone who looked broken, who's ever believed that kindness can change lives. Because it can. It did. It changed mine. The applause was deafening. Daniel walked off stage and straight to Laura, pulled her up, kissed her right there in front of everyone. "I love you," he said against her lips. "Thank you for everything." "I love you too. I'm so proud of you." Sophie hugged both of them. "You won, Daddy. You won. We won, sweetheart. All of us." The party afterward was a blur. Congratulations, photos, interviews. People Daniel had admired for years telling him they'd been following his work. It was overwhelming and wonderful and terrifying all at once. At midnight, they finally escaped. Laura drove, while Sophie slept in the back trophy held carefully in her lap, even in sleep. Daniel watched the city lights blur past and felt at peace. "You know what I want to do tomorrow?" he asked. "Sleep until noon. Make sandwiches, turkey and avocado, for Sophie's lunch." Laura laughed. "Full circle, huh?" "Something like that. One sandwich changed my entire life. Seems right to honor that." "You're a sentimental engineer, Daniel Walker." "I'm a grateful man who got a second chance at everything." The next morning, Sunday, they did exactly that. Made sandwiches together in the kitchen. Sophie helped spreading avocado very seriously. They packed 3 lunches, one for Sophie's field trip Monday, one for Daniel, one for Laura. "Why are we making so many?" Sophie asked. "Because sandwiches are important," Daniel said. "They're not just food, they're symbols. They represent kindness and generosity, and the idea that sometimes the smallest gestures have the biggest impact." "That's deep, Daddy." "I learned it from someone smart." They ate breakfast together. Pancakes because Sophie insisted it was still celebration time. Then they went to the park, played on the swings, fed ducks at the pond, did all the ordinary things that made life worth living. That afternoon, while Sophie played with friends, Daniel and Laura sat on a bench watching. "I've been thinking," Daniel said, about what you asked me, about where this is going, about intentions and plans in the future." And Daniel reached into his pocket and pulled out a small box. Laura's breath caught. "I don't have a big romantic gesture planned. No fancy dinner, no rose petals, just this moment, just honesty." He opened the box. Inside was a simple ring. Elegant. Perfect. "Laura Bennett, you saved my life in every way a person can be saved. You believed in me, loved my daughter, became family, made me want to try again. I can't promise perfect, can't promise easy, can't promise anything except that I will love you every single day for the rest of my life. Will you marry me?" Laura was crying. Happy tears. Overwhelmed tears. "Yes. Yes, of course. Yes." Daniel slipped the ring on her finger. It fit perfectly. They kissed while Sophie ran over, having noticed something was happening. "Did you ask her? Did you ask her?" "I asked her." "And?" "She said yes." Sophie threw her arms around both of them. "Finally, I've been waiting forever. Now we're a real family." "We've been a real family for months, sweetheart." "I know, but now it's official. Now everyone knows." That evening they called Laura's parents. Called Tom and Marcus. Called everyone who mattered. Shared the news. Accepted congratulations. Made plans for a small wedding. Something simple. Just family and close friends. Nothing fancy. Just real. Later, after Sophie was asleep, Daniel and Laura sat on the couch. Her head on his shoulder. Her hand in his. The ring catching light from the lamp. "Can I tell you something?" Laura asked. "Anything." "That morning on the highway, when I first saw you. I knew. I can't explain it. But I knew you were going to matter. That stopping was going to change my life. I thought maybe you'd help our company. Never imagined you'd become my whole world." "I knew too. Not consciously. But when you showed up at my door tracking me down like some kind of determined detective, I knew you were either going to ruin my life or save it. Turns out it was both. You ruined my careful, safe, small life, and you saved me from staying stuck in it forever. No regrets. Not a single one. They sat in comfortable silence. The apartment was quiet. Outside, the city lived and breathed. Inside, a family rested, healed, whole. Months passed. Spring arrived with cherry blossoms and wedding plans. They decided on May. Small ceremony in Laura's parents' backyard. Sophie as flower girl. Tom as best man. Laura's sister as maid of honor. 60 people. Simple vows. Real promises. The morning of the wedding, Daniel woke early. Couldn't sleep. Too much joy. Too much gratitude. Too much everything. He went to Sophie's room. She was awake too, staring at the ceiling. Big day, huh? He sat on her bed. The biggest. You're getting married. We're getting married. All three of us. We're becoming an official family. Were we not official before? We were official in our hearts. Today, we're official in the eyes of the world. Sophie sat up. Daddy, can I tell you something? Always. I'm happy. Really, really happy. But sometimes I feel guilty for being happy. Like I'm forgetting Mommy. Like being happy means she doesn't matter anymore. Daniel pulled his daughter close. Sophie, your Mommy gave me you. The greatest gift I've ever received. And I think she'd want us to be happy. I think she'd want us to find joy and love and family even after losing her. Being happy doesn't erase her. It honors her. It says that the love she gave us was strong enough to help us heal, strong enough to help us try again. That's not forgetting. That's remembering in the best way possible. You think she'd like Laura? I know she would. They're both strong, kind, smart women who saw something in me worth believing in. They're both people who make the world better just by being in it. Yeah, your mom would absolutely love Laura. Sophie nodded. Okay, then I'm all in. No more guilt. Just happy. That's my girl. The ceremony was perfect in its imperfection. Laura's nephew dropped the rings. Sophie threw flower petals with so much enthusiasm half of them hit guests. Daniel's voice cracked during his vows. Laura cried so hard she could barely speak during hers. But when the officiant said, "You may kiss the bride," and Daniel kissed Laura while Sophie cheered and everyone applauded, everything was exactly right. At the reception, Sophie gave a speech. Hi everyone. I'm Sophie, and I'm 8 years old, and today my dad married Laura, and I got a new mom. And I just want to say that love is really cool because it doesn't run out. You can love people who aren't here anymore, and people who are here right now, and it all fits in your heart. My first mom was amazing, and I miss her every day. But my second mom is also amazing, and I'm so lucky I get to have her. So everyone should eat cake and dance and be happy, because that's what today is about. Being happy and being family. There wasn't a dry eye in the room. Daniel held Laura's hand and watched his daughter beam with pride. How did we get so lucky? Laura whispered. I stopped for a car on the highway. You gave me a sandwich. The universe decided to reward us. They danced, all three of them together. Sophie between her parents laughing as they spun her around. Then Daniel and Laura alone swaying to music, while Sophie danced with her new grandparents. I love you, Mrs. Walker, Daniel said. I love you too, Mr. Walker, both of you, my whole heart. Our whole hearts right back. 1 year later, almost to the day, Daniel had first stopped for Laura's car. They stood in the Harbor Line parking lot, watching the 100th production vehicle roll off the line. Sophie was there 9 years old now and obsessed with becoming an engineer like her dad. Daddy, when I grow up, can I design cars? You can design anything you want, sweetheart. Rockets, buildings, robots, whatever makes you happy. I think I want to design something that helps people, like you did. Laura wrapped her arm around Daniel's waist. She gets that from you, the wanting to help. She gets it from both of us, from all her parents, from everyone who's shown her that kindness matters. Marcus walked over with a photographer. Family photo for the company history. They posed together. Daniel, Laura, and Sophie. 3 people who'd found each other in the most unexpected way. 3 people who'd built a family from broken pieces and second chances. The photographer snapped pictures. Then Sophie ran off to explore the factory floor with Tom's kids. Laura and Daniel stood together watching the production line. "You know what's wild?" Daniel said. "A year and a half ago I was fixing cars for sandwiches. Had no hope, no plan, no future. Now I've got all of this. The job, the family, the life I thought I'd lost forever." "You didn't lose it. You just had to wait for the right moment to find it again." The right moment, the right person, the right turkey and avocado sandwich. Laura laughed. "Are you ever going to let the sandwich thing go?" "Never. That sandwich changed my life. I'm going to tell that story to our grandkids." Our grandkids? Eventually, way down the road, when Sophie's grown and settled and ready to make us feel old. I like the sound of that. Grandkids. Growing old together, all of it. Me too. They stood there watching cars being built, watching the future take shape, watching their daughter explore with curiosity and joy. And Daniel thought about how far he'd come, from broken to healing, from alone to surrounded, from survival to living. All because of a breakdown that wasn't really a breakdown at all. All because of a woman who saw someone struggling and decided to help. All because of a sandwich and a second chance and the belief that kindness could change everything. And it had. It really had. That night after Sophie was asleep, Daniel found Laura in the kitchen making sandwiches for the next day's lunches. He wrapped his arms around her from behind. "You know what I was thinking?" "What?" "We should make this a tradition. Every week, make sandwiches together. Turkey and avocado. Remember where we came from. Remember what matters." Laura turned in his arms. "You're such a sentimental engineer." "I'm a man who understands the value of small gestures. Who knows that sometimes the smallest acts of kindness ripple out in ways we never expect. One sandwich, one moment of generosity, and look what it built. A family, a life, a future. All of it." Daniel kissed her softly. "All because you stopped. All because you were worth stopping for." They finished making sandwiches together in the quiet kitchen. Outside, Chicago lived and breathed and continued its endless motion. Inside, a family that had been broken and lost and wandering had found its way home. Not to a place, not to a building, but to each other. And that Daniel thought, as he wrapped up Sophie's lunch, placing it carefully in her backpack, beside her homework and her permission slip for next week's science museum trip, that was the real miracle. Not the award, not the success, not the money, or the recognition, or any of it. The miracle was love, was family, was second chances freely given and gratefully received. The miracle was knowing that broken things could be fixed, that lost people could be found, that endings could become beginnings if you were brave enough to try. Daniel turned off the kitchen light and followed Laura to bed. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, new problems to solve, new moments to cherish. But tonight, he was simply grateful. For the car that broke down, for the woman who stopped, for the sandwich that changed everything, for the life they'd built together, one small kindness at a time, proving that sometimes the most extraordinary things begin with the most ordinary gestures. And sometimes, just sometimes, miracles taste like turkey and avocado on whole wheat bread shared between strangers who were always meant to become family.